Who better to talk to about Donald Trump's public corruption through the use of cryptocurrency than Representative Ritchie Torres of New York, who's one of the leaders. Keep an eye on Representative Torres. He's one of the leaders to hold Donald Trump accountable in the cryptocurrency space with the introduction of a new bill to take away his right to make money using meme coins and to stop him from making the hundreds of billions of dollars that he's trying to make before this presidency is over. I had the honor and pleasure of talking to Representative Torres right here on Legal AF. And here's a clip about cryptocurrency and what the Democrats need to do about it. You and I in advance, sort of thought about the things that are in the news, that are important to you, that are important to the American people. And one of the things that we both kind of lit on was in this cryptocurrency scheme. So let me just take 1 second to kind of frame it. Then I'm just going to kick it over to you to talk about what Congress and what you were doing in your leadership role concerning it. We've got a president who, since before the inauguration, during the campaign, first started with non-fungible tokens and those trading cards, that he was going to make some money doing that, and then got into the cryptocurrency world through Steve Witkoff, who's now our de facto Secretary of State, golf buddy of his, who got him involved with a couple of crypto bros, including one that went to prison. And they formed various types of entities, all within the food chain, the ecosystem of cryptocurrency. So Donald Trump has meme coins, right? Where with his likeness or something like it, where he doesn't really care about the value of the meme coin, right? Because he controls the trading platform and the liquidity pool. So he makes the VIG on the buy and the sell on the volume of trading. And that's why it's pumping without dumping. He's pumping in order to make hundreds of millions of dollars for the family, regardless of the price of the meme stock. So you've got the meme scandal, half of which are being bought by foreign people, right? Then you've got his sons, and therefore he own a crypto mining company related to Bitcoin. Then he's got the World Liberty Financial platform with his three sons. The daughters seem to be left out of this grift. And so you've got that going on. And you've got foreign people trying to get a piece of this president in a way they can't do it through campaign contributions, but through buying him through memes. And you're addressing it with your new bill. Talk to our audience about your passion in that area.
Look, Donald Trump is the most corrupt president in the recent history of the United States. The Trump family is caught in a web of crypto corruption. And it seems evident that presidential profiteering is not a bug, but a feature of the Trump presidency. You know, when Donald Trump is not receiving a presidential palace in the sky from Qatar, he's promoting a meme coin that is enriching him and his friends. He essentially put the White House up for sale, selling access to the presidency to the 220 highest bidders, most of which were foreign in nature, and are purchasing the meme coin in order to influence public policy in the United States. And then you have, to your point, the World Liberty Financial, primarily owned by the Trump family, receiving $2 billion in deposits from an Emirati-backed business in exchange for stablecoins. And if you put $2 billion in U.S. Treasuries yielding 4% a year, that's $80 million in interest a year. I mean, that's an indirect means of bribing the Trump family. And so we're seeing layers and layers of crypto corruption and presidential profiteering. And so I introduced legislation that would prohibit any elected official, be it the president of the United States or even a member of Congress, from issuing or selling or promoting crypto assets that feature their likeness and that lead to personal aggrandizement. For me, the use of public office for private benefit is the essence of corruption.
Yeah, we've never seen anything like it. And I know that in order to try to rein in this president who is trying to combine what I've called ferocity along with velocity in order to tear down what would normally be the norm, people like you, the leaders like you, have to step up with HR, 3314 and stay on top of this, coming up with new and novel ways to restrain a felon in chief that operates like he's above the law, because that's how he interpreted the immunity decision from 2 years ago, that he could get away almost with murder. And that is what he's trying to, he's basically murdering the American culture and the relationship between the presidency and the American people. What's happening with the bill, Representative Torres? Where is it?
So I introduced the legislation, but it will come as no shock to you. It has no support on the Republican side of the aisle. Again, if a Democratic president were promoting a meme coin, enriching himself and his family, there would be widespread outrage among Republicans.
Yeah.
But when Donald Trump is violating ethics and the law, then those same Republicans are deafeningly silent.
And to be clear, you're not anti-crypto, right?
Well, quite the opposite. I actually see value in the underlying technology of blockchain. I see stablecoin as one of the best uses of crypto. But every technology has both constructive uses and destructive uses. And crypto is no exception. And we see the Trump administration using crypto for the enrichment of the Trump family. And that, to me, has no place in our government.
So Trump is all gas and no brakes when it comes to cryptocurrency. His family, it's a family business, the family, and then he sends J.D. Vance to the Las Vegas crypto conference. He sends the sons to the Arab states to promote the golden era of Bitcoin. He puts people in places like the Securities and Exchange Commission that are pro-crypto and anti-regulation. Commerce Secretary, who's in the crypto business. The only one who doesn't seem to be in the crypto business but isn't doing a darn thing about it is Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. So it's an entire crypto conspiracy around it. There is no real regulation in this wild, wild west, and Donald Trump likes it that way. What do you think should happen there? I mean, we've got the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is built to do something when it comes to investment contracts and securities, but maybe not in the world of crypto. But don't we need a crypto regulator?
We need regulation for the sake of investor protection and consumer protection. And I find it troubling that the SEC has announced that it will play no role in regulating meme coins. And so if you have a president who is using meme coins to engage in a pump and dump scheme, to engage in market manipulation, like, who's going to enforce the law? The SEC has announced that it is abdicating its role in enforcing the law against market manipulation on the part of Donald Trump.
I mean,
that Congress has to fill.
Yeah, I mean, we just went through crypto winter just a couple of years ago with the collapse of FTX and Three Arrow and all these other companies that dragged down half the industry, which was completely unregulated. And that's when the Securities and Exchange Commission was at least interested in cryptocurrency and went after some of the bad guys in the last meltdown, which is going to happen again in cryptocurrency. I mean, you even have, right before you and I went on the air or decided to go on the air together, a couple of days ago, we got this announcement of a crypto wallet, a meme coin wallet by Trump with the Butler, Pennsylvania photo. And we were like, what the heck is happening there? And then right on cue, the Trump family said that maybe they're getting ripped off because this is not their meme wallet and they have no knowledge about it. What's your takeaway on the meme wallet gate?
For me, it just fits into the pattern of presidential profiteering. And it demonstrates that Donald Trump is not pro-crypto. He's not pro-blockchain. He's not pro-Web3. I doubt he can even define those terms. He is simply pro-Trump. Like, the only ideology of Donald Trump is himself. And his presidency exists to enrich him and his family. And crypto is but a means to an end. And the end goal is the enrichment of Donald Trump.
I mean, on the back of an envelope, Representative Torres, how much do you think, left unchecked, the Trump family and Donald Trump will make in the White House before it's all said and done?
Billions of dollars.
Right. Could be hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yep. Billions. He's going to remain a billionaire and become an even larger billionaire because of the American presidency. He's monetizing the American presidency to an extent that we've never seen before. And I worry that his kind of corruption could become a new normal in American politics.
Absolutely. Because the lessons that we're learning as Democrats are not the lessons that the MAGA Republicans are learning about, the post-Trump era and who's going to take over for him, right?
And there's no accountability, right? Instead of enforcing the law, the Justice Department is enabling his corruption, is putting its stamp of approval on his corruption. So Donald Trump thinks that not only that he's above the law, but that he is the law.
Yeah.
And there's a double standard. There's
Yeah.
one set of rules for Donald Trump, and then there's a separate set of rules for the rest of us.
He said that out loud. He said right when he got elected that he is the chief law enforcement officer of the country, not Pam Bondi, not his attorney general, which sent a chill down any fair-minded person that understands separation of powers and this felon in chief. I mean, you have to continue the cryptocurrency conversation. Trump's own Truth Social, his DJT, has no real economics behind it. So now they're going to shore up their balance sheet, they're going to raise money through a SPAC to go buy cryptocurrency to put it on their balance sheet, basically opening a casino and then hope that it'll shore up their balance sheet and people will invest that way. He's all in on cryptocurrency. He figured out it's the way for him to line his pockets the fastest, not real estate deals. He couldn't sign up enough real estate deals around the world in the next 2 years or 4 years to make it worth his while, right?
Look, but to be honest, it's consistent with how he has conducted business his whole. I mean, he has a reputation for never paying his contractors. Mm-hmm. Like he cheats, he swindles. So, profiteering has been a constant in the career of Donald Trump, but he's taking it to a new level, and he's not even hiding it. I mean, he is holding up a mirror to the corruption of his own administration because he knows that he can do whatever he wants with impunity. His own administration, Republicans, will never hold him accountable. And I do worry that part of the problem here is the Supreme Court. I mean, the Supreme Court held that the president is absolutely immune when it comes to anything that falls within his core presidential powers.
Right.
And so I feel like Donald Trump is more emboldened, more vindictive, more aggressive than ever before because he's emboldened by the absolute immunity that's been conferred on him by the Supreme Court.
100%. I totally agree with you. That's exactly what we're watching. He thinks he has a superpower because they said he has a superpower. And that's why we're watching, just as a little side diversion, on the pardon world. It's like the old line about if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's there to hear it. If you can't be prosecuted for corrupt pardons, why talk about corruption and pardons? I think it's important that we continue to talk about corruption and pardons for many reasons, but I don't blow smoke or sunshine here on the show. He's not going to get prosecuted for this. The sale of pardons, which is what we're watching. The mother that goes to Mar-a-Lago and spends $1 million and walks out with a pardon for her son, a healthcare executive who ripped off people and his employees by the tune of $4 million. The $1 billion that have disappeared from taxpayers because Donald Trump waved a magic wand and got rid of fines and restitution along with his pardons. We have to continue to talk about it, but that is symptomatic of what you just said, Representative Torres, which is he has been emboldened by, as have the Republicans, by the immunity decision, and that is a legacy that sits with Roberts and the rest of the MAGA right wing.
The sweep of the Supreme Court's decision is hard to overstate, and the Supreme Court held, if I remember correctly, that communications between the president and his own secretaries, his own administration, are not only immune from prosecution, but inadmissible as evidence in court. So he can direct his Justice Department to prosecute his enemies in politics. He can direct the SEC to target politically disfavored corporations. He can direct his military to assassinate political enemies. And those conversations are immune from prosecution and are inadmissible as evidence in court. I mean, the absurdity of the decision is outrageous, and it has made Trump 2.0 qualitatively more dangerous than even Trump 1.0.
Yeah. Talk about how the House Democrats are. Talk a little bit more about the strategy. We like to be hopeful as well on the show with a call to action. What we've been saying, but I want to hear it, of course, from leaders, is that midterms are right around the corner. It's a long corner, but it's right around the corner. And the quicker we can, this will be a referendum completely on Donald Trump, although he keeps wanting to make it about Joe Biden with the new, we're going to open up a whole investigation about what Joe Biden knew and when he knew it. But at the end of the day, midterms are about the president, thumb up or thumb down, all the way up and down the ballot. If we can get back the House and the Senate, we can start getting back a balance of power, checks and balance back in the system on the way to 2028. Talk to our audience about what they can do, what they should do, and what House leadership is doing from now until the midterms.
Look, we're exhausting every avenue of holding Trump accountable, whether it's legislation in the halls of Congress or litigation in the courtroom or mobilization on the streets. We need everyone to be civically and politically engaged because we can no longer afford a government where Donald Trump controls every branch of government, including both chambers of Congress. Like, we need a Democratic majority in the House that can conduct robust oversight of and investigations into the Trump administration, because his presidential profiteering is raw material for congressional investigations. And once we take back the House, we will hold him accountable aggressively to an extent that our country's never seen before, because we have just the lawlessness is unprecedented, and there's plenty to investigate.
He seems to sense that he's on a potential short leash, trying to do maximum damage and destruction, with a thought that he may not have the House and or the Senate at the midterms. And so how do you, with his time horizon and the way he sees it, every day a new lurch from one abuse of power to the next. I know it's a challenge for the House leadership. Tell me what you're doing about that.
Look, we're challenging he's flooding the zone with executive orders. He's issued more executive orders in his first 100 days than FDR did in his first 100 days during the height of the Great Depression. And so, he's attempting to flood the zone in order to confuse us and distract us. But we're successfully challenging the majority of his executive orders in court. We're winning most of the time. He's losing most of the time. And so I feel like, look, it's a painful moment because he's in charge, and it feels like he is just engaging in a lawless presidency with impunity. But I actually feel like the long arc of history is going to vindicate us. We're going to take back the House. We're going to hold Trump accountable. And he's losing support among the American people. And we're focusing, he's raising cost. A tariff is a tax, and he's raising taxes on the American people. The reconciliation bill will raise electricity prices for the American people by an average of 10%. But he's also corrupting good government. Mm-hmm. What the American people want are lower cost and good government, and Donald Trump represents the opposite of both.
Yeah, that's a great message and messaging that we need. I'll tell you what our audience and on Midas Touch love and eat it up is the shadow hearings and the forcing the cabinet to come in and be grilled by House Democrats and in the Senate. That is, I got to tell you, that is, Representative Torres, some of the most powerful work that you folks are doing right now, because we get to see good government in action. We get to see the oversight in action. But you see, when you put these people in the hot seat, they all melt. They all do terribly. And this is what we need in order to make sure that the independents don't run back. They've run away from him now, that they don't run back to Donald Trump for the all-important midterms. So keep those going, because that is, our audience is lighting up on that type of work.
Look, what people want is to know that the Democratic Party is fighting.
Yeah.
And we have to resist the unprecedented abuses of the Trump administration, because what we're debating here is not the optimal rate of taxation or the level of spending, which are issues on which reasonable people of goodwill can disagree. We're debating good government, habeas corpus, due process, democracy. Like, he is dismantling or intent on dismantling the very foundations for American democracy. And there's one political party in America that's committed to defending our democracy, and the other political party is intent on dismantling it or is enabling the dismantling of our democracy.
You're being kind. You're suggesting there is a second party in America.
It's more of a cult of personality. But.
Yeah, there's a cult on one side and a real political party on the other. I'd love to have.
That might be an insult to cults, though.
No insults to cults. Welcome back. You're on Legal AF. Take a receipt. Hit the subscribe button. And then come over to Legal AF, the Substack, and find all of the documents that we talk about, all the filings, all the court opinions over on Legal AF Substack, along with some original analysis you can't find anywhere else. We're growing a community and a fellowship with you, speaking truth to each other. I'm Michael Popok, and you're on Legal AF. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.